In a world.
Welcome to the world of 𝐂𝐬𝐳, where dreams take flight and futures are transformed. We have helped thousands of students from all around the world achieve their academic and career goals. We are more than just an education consultant.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing today? All right, so good to see you all again. Today we are having University of Greenwich here with us, the representative. So I have Mandy Stevenson, the Deputy Head of School of Health and Sciences. Then I also have Maggie Brown, the International Recruitment Officer. So they are here with us today to talk to us about the package they have for us from University of Greenwich. So we want us to get ready and listen to their presentations. If you have any question, you can easily drop it on the chat box. And currently they are in our office here at Ikeja, Opebi Road. So in case you are still around or you are still at home and you're not yet here in the office, you are free to join us here in the office at Ikeja Opebi Road number 44 and meet with them one-on-one for whatsoever issues you have with University of Greenwich. Okay, so Mandy Stevenson, we want you to take over now. I think the session is yours now. Thank you.
Out. There we go.
Sorry about this, we're back now.
There we go. Right.
Okay, sorry. I think it's the network.
We're ready to
really
roll.
ready.
Right.
Perfect.
So, as I said, massive welcome. I'm Mandy Stevenson. I'm actually an associate professor in midwifery education, but my main role is that I'm deputy head of school for health sciences in the Faculty of Health, Education, Human Sciences. We are here today to share our experiences with you. So please, if you've got any questions, please ask us. So we are in a lovely position to be able to offer nursing and midwifery to you all. And what I'm going to be able to do is to share what we need you to be able to do. So you might be thinking, why do I want to study adult nursing in the UK when I could study nursing here in Nigeria? We've been able to provide an opportunity to take international students for the first time in January, wasn't it, this year? But what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to offer opportunities to educate your workforce for them to then come home to Nigeria and to be able to share their experiences. But adult nursing, whether it is in the UK, wherever it is in the world, it's about providing care and support to a whole range of patients. It could be from a newborn baby right the way through to an older adult. And what it does is our 3-year program prepares your students to, one, get a BSc Honours in nursing, but also it enables them to register with our Nursing and Midwifery Council, because you have to be registered with a professional body in the UK to be able to actually practice. So what will we do on the program? We're going to give you students sort of 2,300 learning hours, and that's going to be taught modules, which I'll go into in a moment. But it will also give you 2,300 practical hours. And when I talk about practical hours, it will mean time out in the clinical placement areas. So it'll be working in hospitals, GP practices, anywhere really, to gain an experience of that care isn't just delivered in a hospital. So that's what we will do for adult nursing. But also, another programme that we're in an amazing position to offer you is midwifery. Now, historically, you may think, oh, you have to be a nurse to be a midwife. You don't have to, because you don't need nursing skills specifically to be a midwife. How we train in the UK is you can be a nurse and then you can do a shortened programme. But we believe that everyone should have the opportunity, whether it's an 18-year-old leaving school, a 30-year-old mother that's just had a baby and wants to start her career, or a 45-year-old sort of person that's really had a career in banking. We've had banking, cabin crew, and they've all decided that actually there are a time in their career where they want to give back. And COVID really did show that. So that's what we will do. But midwifery can be a separate programme, which is what it is. And again, it's a 3-year undergraduate programme, same with the hours, same with the placement areas. But what it will do is it will enable your students and your students yourself to qualify as a registered midwife. Again, you have to go onto the Nursing and Midwifery Council register, but you can then practice as a midwife. And I'm a midwife, I'm a nurse, and both careers are amazing. And I think I've got the best of both worlds. I'm so lucky. But I think your question, because obviously you work with other partners, is why us? Why Greenwich? We've got some really good student ratings. I think the important thing is for us, it's about the care and support that we provide for our students. Every year we have the National Student Survey where our students tell us how well we've done. Sometimes they say you can do a little bit better in some areas, but actually we're very proud of what we can provide for our students. We have really highly qualified students, lecturers. I'm just an example of being a lecturer. I was a nurse for 12 years. I was a midwife for 5 to 6 years, and I went to work at a hospital, and they wanted someone to go and work at the university for 9 months to cover maternity leave. Bit of a joke, as it's 9 months pregnancy, maternity leave, but I did it, and actually I got a permanent job at the end of it. So I came in as a lecturer, and I've worked my way through. I've learned, I've developed, I've adapted, and I'm now deputy head of school. So there is a vision, and I never thought I would ever do anything like this. But I think we have amazing staff that always put the students first. I think the other thing that I would say why Greenwich is that part of our programme is that students have to work the 2,300 clinical hours. During COVID, the Nursing and Midwifery Council wanted to look at how we could be more flexible to ensure that the students achieve these hours because they can't complete without. And so our university had a vision, and it was to take us on the simulation vision. So we repurposed a building, and we've got this amazing simulation suite. It says on here that it's £4 million, but actually we then got another bid and we developed a critical care unit. So we've got an operating theatre, not a real operating theatre, but as real as it can be, and a critical care ward that the students can learn how to provide intensive care. So I think we've got some amazing facilities. So what about your students? So if they decide to come to us, our accommodation is on site. As you can see, sort of the picture, if you look to the middle, that is an example of accommodation right round the building. And our students can live there. If it's Avery Hill, it works out about £600 a month. That gives you an individual room. It gives you a sort of ensuite bathroom. It gives you shared facilities with a living room, a kitchen, but you're on site. So the 9 o'clock lecture isn't such a struggle to get on campus. And I have to say, it's always the 9 o'clock students that struggle. But anyway, our teaching facilities, we've got sort of classrooms, we've got lecture theatres. But what we're trying to do is to reduce the amount of time that our students are sitting in front in a big lecture theatre when you're sitting there and going, what am I learning? We're refocusing that it's not about teaching, it's about learning. It's about our students appreciating learning comes in so many different ways. Learning can be activities, it can be quizzes, it can be go and find out about this area feedback. And then what we will do is smaller groups where we'll say to the adult nurses or the midwives, right, what does that mean for you as a midwife? A prime example of that is to do with anatomy and physiology. You could have every single discipline learning about the heart, but you could say to an adult nurse, what does that mean for you? Well, it means that I've got to worry about this if someone's had a heart attack, and how would I manage it? And for midwives, you would think, well, okay, someone's pregnant. Excuse me. If someone's pregnant, they've also got to think about the baby. What does the baby do to the heart during pregnancy? So there's so many different things that we can provide for you. I think the important thing as well, Maggie, can you just quickly read a minute?
Oh, sure. I think it's really important to note in terms of generally the University of Greenwich and the courses that we offer is that we place really a lot of importance on our teaching, research, but also on things like employability and campus life. So we do have some fantastic, like Mandy has already mentioned, teaching staff from all over the world with some really fantastic experience. We obviously that the teaching staff also spend quite a decent amount of time on research to really make sure that they teach the most up-to-date curriculum that is taught in our state-of-the-art simulation facilities as well. So we really, I think this goes in line with in the UK, we really want to make sure that we provide world-class education for our international students.
And I think what we want is we want our students to live our university values with us. We want your students to be ambitious. We want them to think, this is the start of my journey. I'm going to go and travel the world, and I'm going to work here, or I'm going to work there. We want them to think creatively. There's not one way to do something. There's lots of different ways. We want them to be determined. We want them to say, I can do this. Or if they're having a wobble, as in they're thinking, I'm really struggling, we can work with them. And I think what we are at the University of Greenwich, we're such a multicultural, multi-diverse university, and it's not just one size fits all. It's very much about our cohorts are so different than other universities. You might sort of work with other universities that have a very sort of white-centric, this is all 18-year-olds all leaving school. That doesn't bring good life experience into a classroom. I quite often will get an 18-year-old with really good IT skills sitting with a mature student going, this is how you do it. And you've got the mature student saying, but when I did that, this worked. So it's amazing how the different groups can work together. Now, this is Maggie's bit because she's so much better at it than I am.
So now let's talk about the entry qualifications for our nursing and midwifery undergraduate courses. So for those of you applying from Nigeria, we would be looking at candidates who have their WAEC in English and mathematics at least a C. Then you would also need to have either an OND with credit, that could be any subject area, or if there's any candidates with an HND that would also like to start an undergraduate course as well. Would be happy to accept. The one thing important to note is that we do require an IELTS, because this is a course that requires slightly higher level of English evidence, because students who do start at our nursing and midwifery courses, they will be going straight into NHS placement, so they'll be working for the National Health Service as part of their course. And it's just one of the requirements really that is needed. So we're looking at an IELTS of 7.0 with nothing less than 6.5 in any of the components. We obviously accept also alternative language tests, but for this particular occasion, we can't just accept a WAEC English. We do require to see an IELTS, just to really make sure that the candidates that we do have and that we'll be sending on work placements, that they have very high levels of English. Of course, in terms of other entry requirements, we're looking at the usual reference. A personal statement, I think, is particularly important for nursing as well, particularly for maybe more mature candidates who have had different pathways previously, but do want that career change that Mandy mentioned, is to really sort of say, why they would like to study nursing, why they want to study now, how the skills that they have already acquired are going to help them moving forward. And there is also providing that the candidates meet all of those entry requirements, They would then be sent an invitation to an online interview. And I think Mandy can tell you a little bit more about that, since she's actually one of the people who conduct those interviews.
And I actually wrote the questions, so it's a good point.
There you go.
But what we tend to do is, during COVID, we had to move very quickly from a 2-person interview and an applicant sitting in a room. And actually, there's so many different more ways that you can do interviews. So we then moved on to Teams. And actually, as we came out of COVID, and we were like, why don't we carry on? It works really well. And so what we've done this year is that we have a Teams interview. It's 5 questions. And I think for both programs, it's actually 4 questions and an image. Now, the questions are around why nursing, why midwifery, why now? What can you bring? And I think you said the right thing. It's about, we don't want them to have worked in hospitals. We want them to have transferable skills. Quite often we'll get an 18-year-old that's worked in a shop, and we'll say, well, what skill can you bring? And they'll go, I don't know. And it's like, what are we doing now? Well, we're talking. Did you not learn that skill? Oh, yes. And it's that light bulb moment that they say, oh, I've got good communication skills. And you say, what would your best friend say to you? What are your strengths? What are your areas for development? And I think the images we've tried to do around the programme. So it could be from midwifery, sort of a mother with a newborn baby. A mother could look really tired and the baby's in her arms. And we'll say, what does that image mean for you? And she might say, the mum's tired. And I'll say, well, what would you want to do? Well, I'd want to speak to her to check she's sleeping. So it's just a few things, just to see that actually the applicants, your applicants, have actually looked into midwifery isn't just about watching TV programmes. And then once we're interviewed, if we offer places, then we hand over to our colleagues in the international office, so they would sort the right to work, the visas and everything that you would need. So the course structure. Now, as I said, it's a 3-year programme, so 2,300 hours are sort of on learning. Sorry. So across the 3 years, in year 1, we'd want to develop their skills. So we'd want to develop their sort of academic skills. In year 2, though, we want to enhance them because they know them already. We want to take them to the next level. So we would give them understanding research. And then in year 3, we want them to sort of either enhance, consolidate, whatever word you want to use. We want them to be able to write a project course. So across the programme, themes are threaded through. So anatomy and physiology in year 1 is just basic. There's a heart, there's a lung, there's a kidney, there's a renal system. But actually in year 2, it's, well, what does it mean if they're not working? What could that do for us? And that's how we work, because there's no point teaching something and never going back and revisiting it. So we want to be able to give our students opportunities to learn, but also to have that opportunity to go back and revisit it. So nurses and midwives can be taught together because everyone needs to know about anatomy and physiology. Everyone needs to know sort of academic skills, development, research. And so when you look at the structures, they're pretty similar. For midwives, however, we just have to work differently because some of the requirements of our Nursing Midwifery Council when the curriculum was written is that our midwifery students have to be neonatal ready. And when I say neonatal ready, what it means is they have to be able to undertake newborn neonatal examinations. So that became part of our curriculum. But basically, the curriculums are very similar. So you've got the 2,300 learning hours, and then you've got 2,300 practice hours. So for adult nurses, that could be in an acute hospital, it could be in a GP surgery, it could be anywhere that care is delivered. Elderly folk homes, whereas for midwifery, it's slightly different because mothers can have babies at home, in hospital, in the car park. That's what I'm used to. In lifts, that's the use as well. So from that perspective, mums have babies everywhere in the world. We need to be able to adapt to be able to do that. So when your students are successful and on the programme, they're allocated placement. They don't have to find their placement. We will already have the placement in place for them. However, you may look at the fees and go, why are we having to pay £21,000? That's not what home students pay. Because our government pay tariff for our students in placement. So the additionality that is on the fee pays the placement provider to enable you to attend placement, because obviously they want to support you, but they need their staff to be developed to educate you. So it is very much that allocated places, they're there for the whole 3 years, and they have an amazing opportunity, because generally our trust will say guaranteed employability. So your students, as students, you may say, actually, I want to stay in the UK, I'll stay at the trust where I'm working. Or they may say, actually, I want to go home to Nigeria, I want to go home to Lagos and work. That's fine. Obviously, if they stay in the UK, the NHS Trust would need to take over their visa responsibilities, but we have some really good employability rates. I always laugh with the midwifery students that it's 99% employability at the point of contact. The 1% is generally that someone in the group has got pregnant. Always, midwifery in the UK is very female-centric. So, where do we educate our students? We're very blessed. We have placements in East London, South London. We're going into North London as well, but down into Kent as well. For the adult students, we would want the students to stay reasonably local to the campus. So it would be Lewisham, it would be Greenwich. We wouldn't want them going a big distance, because moving to a new country and understanding healthcare locally can be a bit of a challenge. Now, for our midwifery students, one opportunity is that we have actually 3 campuses. One of the campuses is based in Medway. We've just started midwifery there, and actually what could happen is the students could learn there, live there, and the local hospital is only 2 miles away. So actually it's an amazing opportunity. I know students say, oh, we want to be in London, but actually living costs in Kent are a lot cheaper than living costs in London. So that there is pros and cons.
And just to know, Kent is basically just outside of London. So we do also have a school.
Three-quarters now.
We do have a school bus that actually goes from the Kent campus to our Greenwich campus as well. So there's facilities for students to get around. There's good transport links. So students can kind of sort of have the best of both while they're paying, less their living costs, less maintenance, but they're still next to the big metropolis as well.
I live there, and it's about 45 minutes driving, but probably an hour on public transport. But an hour, that could take you into central London. So it's an amazing place. Now, one thing I would like to sort of share with you is that, as I said, nursing isn't just sort of provided in a hospital. We do have community routes. We do have general practice doctor routes where the students are allocated to these areas for 75% of their programme. So if you had a student that would want to come back and work in the community, they might consider doing the community route. So they get 75% community-based learning and 25% acute-based learning, and the same with a GP. So I think the one thing that I would always sell us on, and I'm very proud always to sell it, is our student support. Support starts the day that student applies to us. How can we help? What can we do? Same as your job. What can you do? What can we do? Because once they're on the programme, they need to know, you need to know that you're fully supported. And it could be a programme leader, so the person that oversees the whole programme. It might be a module leader, so one small part of it. There's going to be lecturers that are going to be looking after you when you're in clinical practice, but it's not just academics that provide support. There's our sort of professional services teams, student services, admissions. There's so many different teams that are there to say, we're here to help. What can we do? Now, the other thing that will support students, sometimes they'll say, I was so tired I didn't come to class that day, is that our recordings, our learning opportunities are recorded. So the students can re-watch them, they can make notes, they can go back to the lecturer and say, what was that? So I think it's all about support. And I think if you're, as a student, thinking about leaving home, coming to the UK to train, or if you're supporting students to come to the UK, it's about ensuring that the students are well supported. So I've talked a little bit about sort of employability. So I think it's over to you if there's any questions. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Mandy. And yes, do please let us know if you have any questions about our midwifery and adult nursing courses, about studying at the University of Greenwich, anything about the applications process. Do feel free to let us know, and definitely take advantage of Professor Mandy being here as well.
𝐿𝐻𝐿 has come up with, is there an age restriction? No, there's not. As long as, I would say that as long as you can actually finish your training before you retire, that's fine. I think the oldest student I had was probably 58, so qualified at 61 and was able to then work 4 years before they retired. So yeah. Hi Emmanuel, welcome. Now, is there any other questions? Because I've got a post-qualifying program that I can share with you while you're thinking. Now, while you're thinking of questions, because obviously we're very happy to answer anything, we are really lucky. I talked about the simulation suite and the money spent on it. But what has happened is that we've actually developed, now your agents will, which way am I going? Your agents will have, it's not going to work, but never mind. Your agents will have a flyer on the MSc into Professional Healthcare Sim. Now, for us in the UK, post-qualifying modules tend to be as qualified staff that they do like an afternoon, 2 hours here, 2 hours there. It's not full time. But what we developed in line with our simulation suite was a program that was a 1 year that starts in January. And it's open to sort of any applicant that's got an interest in simulation and IT. So you do obviously have to have a previous degree, but we want people from diverse backgrounds. We want to think about, actually, simulation is the new tomorrow. What have you got in Nigeria? What have you got, what have you got that we can support you with? And we've had, I think last year, we had about 40 students in the first year of the program. And it's just an amazing opportunity to learn about simulation delivery, but also taking it forward and being able to say, actually, that makes perfect sense. Because quite often your students will go, I'm scared to take blood for the first time. Okay, do it on a simulator. What do you need to do? And they'll go, just going to take blood. And you say, think about the patient. Think about if you came at them with a needle and syringe to take blood, are they not going to be scared? Oh yeah. How are you? Is everything okay today? Would you mind if I? And it's about the soft skills as well. It's not just the doing skills. It's the sort of the soft communication skills that are really important. So there is, your agents will have sort of all of the flyers. So do ask, and we're very, very happy to accept applications. So Boomy, I've got them all here for you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this great session. I think it's well educative enough and well explanatory enough. You know, looking at the examples that you've been able to cite for us for this session. Thank you so much for this. I think I have just a few questions that I just want to ask. The question is, okay, I want to know, you know, we usually have some hours that nursing are expected to have when it comes to the experience that they've gathered. So I just want to know what's the hours for Greenwich, for nursing, those that want to study nursing, for the experience that they've been able to gather as for maybe like a nursing person. So what's the hours? You know, there are some schools will tell you that 200 hours, 500 hours, 600 hours. So I want to know if Greenwich
Is this, Boomy, is this pre-applying? Is this before they apply?
Yes. For the
They don't have to have any hours at all. What we at Greenwich look at is transferable skills. So if you've had someone working in a shop, I used an example earlier about communication skills, that's really important. Caring for their grandparents, that's about caring skills, that's really important. It's those skills that we can't teach really, because that's close to an individual. So we don't ask what we want to be able to, if people need to look at their transferable skills and say, how does that apply to me applying for nursing? What I always use an example, because in the UK we've got 2 television programs, one called Born Every Minute and another one called The Midwife. If someone applies and said, I've watched Call the Midwife, I think midwifery could be lovely, I'd say you don't really know what midwifery is about, because that's not, TV shows do not show what the professions are about. One thing I would do is suggest to any applicants is to log in to, if it's for nursing, the Royal College of Midwives, or Royal College of Nurses. If it's for midwives, the Royal College of Midwives, and just go all through their pages. They've got so many learning opportunities and activities that give candidates a chance to see what is actually happening in the UK at the moment. So in answer to your question, no pre-hours, we'll do them when they're on the program.
Okay, so that means that you might not necessarily have any experience in nursing before you say that you study nursing. So that's that. Okay, there is a question on the chat box here, I think from 𝐷𝐵𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐶𝐬𝐬𝐭. He said that I am interested and I am an anesthesia technician. Do I have a chance to enroll in nursing program in University of Greenwich? So
I think, Manuel, it really depends on what qualifications you have. So if you have like we mentioned, if you have your WIG in English and mathematics at a C at a minimum at both of those subjects, and if you have either an OND or an OND with credit, any subject, or if you have an HND as well, or if you have a first degree. So if you could let us know what qualifications you have. Apart from that, you also have to do an IELTS or an alternative test, but it will have to be at quite a high level of 7.0. Just because I think, like we explained, you would be going straight into a placement in the NHS and the National Health Service. So we do really want to make sure, and the faculty wants to make sure that the students that are very much ready to go, have very high levels of English, and will be able to be comfortable coping with not just the academic workload, but with the placement side of things. So depending on your qualifications, you might have a chance to enroll, definitely, but do please let us know, or feel free to contact the 𝐻𝐶𝐬𝐬 counsellors as well, and they can look through your qualifications if you don't have time now to get into it, and they'll be able to help take your application forward.
Okay, that's fine. That's good. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so once again, this is Bumi from 𝐴𝐻𝐧, and with me here is Maggie Brown and Mandy Stevenson. So we actually in the session of meet and greet with University of Greenwich for nursing, especially, and we are still in the office. We still have Maggie Brown and Mandy Stevenson in the office here in Ikeja at 44 Opebi Road. You can still find your way around coming down to the office to see them one-on-one and talk to them. If you have any challenge, any issues that you want with University of Greenwich, they are here to help us. They are here to help you sort that out. So I will just employ us, as many as those that are listening to us now. You can still try to join us even in our office here at Ikeja Opebi Road. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the session. I don't know, maybe there's any other question on the chat box.
I think I was just going to add, for those of you wondering in terms of our application timeline, so we are still accepting applications for this September, although I would say because for nursing midwifery, there is a limited number of spaces for international students as well. I would say if you're interested, definitely inquire about submitting an application very soon, but not to worry if you won't manage to get everything together for this September. We do also have a January intake that we will be running for this particular course. So we have 2 intakes for our BSc Adult Nursing, which is September and January. And if you do have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us now. Get in touch with 𝐻𝐶𝐬𝐬, one of our trusted partners here in Nigeria, with any of their offices to ask any questions. They'll be able to answer those for you or link you up with us directly as well. But thank you so much, Bunmi, for having us in your office and for the opportunity to talk about our fantastic nursing midwifery programs.
Thank you so much.
We look forward to meeting any of you that want to come to us. It's an amazing place.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
In a world brimming with opportunities, where will your educational journey take you? Welcome to 𝐴𝐻𝐧 Associates, a leading educational consultancy dedicated to shaping dreams and opening doors to a global education. Planning to study abroad can be overwhelming, with numerous challenges to overcome. Now is the turning point of your life. Great things await those who go in search. At 𝐻𝐳 Associates, our experts will provide you with guidance and unwavering support. We help you make informed decisions, guiding you through every step of the admission process. With our extensive network of reputable universities, we find the perfect match for you. We consider your academic aspirations, preferences, and budget to ensure the best fit. At 𝐻𝐳 Associates, we believe that financial constraints should never hinder your dreams. Preparing you for a successful study abroad experience is our top priority, where your journey will intertwine and align with the paths of success. We bring universities to you, creating opportunities for direct interactions. 𝐻𝐳 Associates facilitates these events, connecting you with universities worldwide. Your study abroad journey starts here, with 𝐻𝐳 Associates by your side. Contact us today for a free consultation, and let us help you unlock a world of opportunities.